Welcome to episode 14 of The Guardians. You may say to yourself, Veritech, why are you having an episode? There is no Overwatch. But you know what? There's a whole community we can cover. And we did have a couple days of the beta, so we're going to cover that. There's my voice. Yeah, I just heard my echo for some reason. Thanks, YouTube. But anyways, here we are. I am here with Conchu. I am here with One Eye. Azax is fighting the employment boss, and Tifa is doing the same, I believe. So, guys, we haven't had Overwatch for a few days now. Conchu, what have you been doing to fill the gap, the void left in your life by the lack of Overwatch?
You know what? Honestly, it's been a lot of going back to community areas such as Facebook, Reddit, and really kind of battling the orcs, if you will, of all the people saying this should be nerfed, that should be nerfed, this is bad, all these things. So I've been really kind of trying to deep breathe and practice my inner Zenyatta and kind of explain to them the path on how the characters got to certain things, like the ever common dead horse of Nerf Bastion. I explained them the whole path of shields versus not having shields, how they altered different mechanics, how standing is now more improved, and it just comes down to picking the right character and just settling those, and then really honestly catching up on games that I have been neglecting to play or finish because I've been having so much fun playing Overwatch for so long in both closed beta and open beta. So that's eating up all my time.
Sweet. Yep. I can definitely hear that. I've been trying to get in on games that I haven't finished yet, or games I was interested in playing. In fact, One Eye and I were just playing Battleborn a little while ago. And One Eye, how's your? And it's not fun. It's not bad.
It really isn't. It's pretty fun.
How has your week been, One Eye?
My week, well, you and I have been playing a lot of Paladins to just try to get that fix. Unfortunately, the competition hasn't been super amazing. Most of the days have been pretty just like one-sided sweep.
Yeah.
Lots of 9-0, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But besides that, I've been playing a little bit more Tree of Savior because I have some buddies doing that. And then, just got Battleborn. And that little bit we played earlier today, I'll admit it, I'm not somebody who was on the Battleborn party, which... sounds weird. Donovan, what are you talking about? It's like a first-person shooter MOBA. That's the exact kind of thing that you just, live for. What? But that game, when it first went into development, I was super hyped about, and then as it developed more, it seemed really generic to me, and, I have some issues with some of the design choices visually, but actually getting to sit down and play it, I'm really impressed by how much fun it is. And that shouldn't surprise me, considering how much time I've sunk into Borderlands, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, and it's
that's been it for me. So
yeah, it's different. I mean, it's fun to try different things, but I'm definitely looking forward to Overwatch coming back. But I mean, we did have a few days. They extended the beta 24 hours, so we had until Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. There was some competitive action that happened this past weekend. Most of the events were shutting down in preparation for the extended break. However, Overkill still held their grand finals in their third place match. And in the third place match, which was a best of 7, Envious defeated 4G, swept them 4-0. So Envious coming back strong with that new roster, IDDQD plus Tailspin. And so they were able to recover and capture third place. And then in the grand finals, the best of 9 grand finals for Overkill, Cloud9 defeated Reunited 5-3, and that was actually a pretty good series. Most of the series we cover, it usually ends up being a stomp one way or the other, but I mean, they took it to 8 games, and I didn't catch much of the action. I caught a few of the matches, and I don't know if you guys caught any of the action either, but the matches I did catch, I mean, they were pretty action-packed. It wasn't just like the normal sit back and try and beat each other's times. I mean, they were really going at it, and obviously so. It's the 5,000 5K tournament. It's the biggest one so far. There is one that's bigger, but I mean, it was a good time, and it was nice to see some competitive Overwatch this weekend, since there really wasn't much. Everyone was just kind of getting ready for the barren wasteland of May 10th to the 23rd. So That's pretty much it for competitive. We do have Agents Rising coming up, and like we said last week, and we'll say it again, we're going to be there. It is a $10,000 prize pool, and there are going to be many top teams. We can't tell you who yet. You're just going to have to wait and see. And there's also going to be some surprise community teams. In fact, one got tweeted out yesterday, and so you'll have to stay tuned. I don't know exactly who the roster is for that. But if any of you guys are planning on going, or any of you guys live in the local area, Anaheim, Orange County, hit me up on Twitter. Hit NA1I up on Twitter. And we'll definitely try and find a time to meet with you guys.
And we'll make it happen. I just I know that it's an event that we're going to, and I know that one of our own is helping run it and stuff.
Yeah.
But for those of you who might not have been to Esports Arena, it is an amazing location. It is such a cool venue. So without a doubt, I cannot hype that event enough. Like, go there, go to Agent Rising, check it out. It's going to be a sweet time. Come hang out. Just do it.
Yeah. And for those of you who didn't know it, Tifa actually works at Esports Arena, so she's got the hookups for all of that stuff, and we are super excited to be a part of it. Super excited. We're actually going to live stream an episode from the venue, so make sure you guys tune in for that, and we'll try and hype it up as much as we possibly can. But that's pretty much it for competitive. This week and next week, we're really going to focus heavily on just any news that gets shared and any community stuff. I mean, there's a giant spotlight on this community. There's a ton of creativity. Blizzard did tweet out, though, with the conclusion of the open beta, 9.7 million players participated in the open beta, and it's the largest open beta that has happened for a while. Now, for comparison, Star Wars Battlefront had 9.5 million in the beta, and that actually was an unconfirmed number. They said that they sold 9.5 million copies. So it was probably a little bit smaller. The Division had 6.4 million participants in their beta. Destiny had 4.6 million, and then Battleborn had 2 million. And then the average player time that each player committed to Overwatch over the open beta was 8 hours. So 8 hours per 9.7 million players. Like, no,
hold on a second. I see
hours.
Contra over here like 8 hours. And as somebody who participates in a lot of alpha and betas, and I mean like just disgusting, like I could make a resume out of it at this point, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually getting 8 hours of playtime out of some random schmuck who's like, I just want to see if this game even, plays, whatever, dude. That's huge. Because, like, personally, I know a bunch of people from Multitap because, they're all retro-focused and things like that, who are all like, yeah, I'll try the open beta, we'll see if it's any good, and, like, now they're posting, like, Tracer memes and things like that. Like, somebody, one of them posted a picture on my wall from Congo that was just, like, before a match starts, like, hi there, just, like, gorilla looking through a window at a person. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So the 8 hours isn't surprising to me. That's just a really impressive number if you actually look at it. And then the fact that it's backed by the 9.7 million, I mean, Overwatch is going to be huge. I literally don't know a single person who played it and was like, that was the best game I've ever played. Like, every single person I talked to was like, that game far exceeds my expectations. That is a stupid amount of fun.
My air quotes of 8 hours, more like 8 hours. Like, it feels like they missed like some calculation broke in the machine. Because I know everybody I knew at least put in 14 plus hours minimum.
Yeah.
Like 8 hours feels like, dude, your calculations are all off. Because everybody I talked to, they didn't stop. It just was a reoccurring day and day. When you weren't at work, you were playing Overwatch.
Yeah, and I mean, we obviously put in a ton of time, but I mean that's quite a feat. I mean, 9.7 million players, and I think 6 of them played supports. So, you guys got to learn your supports, and I joke there's way more than that, but yeah, I mean it was pretty hopping that open beta. And it shows promise for Overwatch. I mean, we've already known for months that it was going to be awesome, but to see the amount of community excitement, I did see a couple people that weren't really into it. They said it's not really my cup of tea. And I don't really know if I want to pay $40 or $60 for this, yada yada yada. But overall, I mean, it's just been like overwhelmingly well received. So definitely looking forward to seeing what kind of numbers happen in terms of sales for the first week, even the first day of Overwatch. How many pre-orders they had, how many players are going to be logging in for the first time for real during launch, because there was a lot of community involvement. Now, there was an issue that popped up, and it was big enough to where Blizzard actually released an official response on the forums. And Lylira, one of the main community managers for Overwatch, the Overwatch team, who I got to meet at BlizzCon, she's a very nice lady. They posted about hacking and cheating, and they pretty much just said, in accordance with the company's core value of play nice and play fair, there will be a zero-tolerance policy on cheating through the use of aimbots, hacks, and third-party software to gain an unfair advantage. Any player found to be using hacks or cheats to gain an advantage will be permanently banned, no exceptions. They said they already have systems in place to catch hackers and cheaters. They have for years, and the way that Blizzard, kind of to go off the script a little bit, the way that Blizzard handles cheaters is they don't ban them one at a time. So if you see someone cheating and you're like, holy crap, Wyatt, Blizzard, please do something, please nerf, they ban in waves. So it might take a month or 3, but they like to nail them all at once, because if one person gets banned, they go back to their community and go, hey, this program just got nailed, and they go, okay, we'll find something else. If you hit 50,000 accounts all at once, that does a much larger scope of damage to the community, or to the hacking community. So that's kind of how Blizzard operates in terms of that. But going back onto the script, one thing they did point out is that the in-game camera system can sometimes lag in fidelity. So playback of a player's aim and kill cams, replays, stuff like that will appear snappy from time to time. And kind of not very fluid. And there still are some bugs present in the game's camera system, like, for example, when Zarya casts particle barrier during a kill cam, the camera kind of snaps around and is herky-jerky. But they did want to stress, some players are just really good at first-person shooters. Like, you can't accuse somebody of hacking and cheating just because they killed you. Yeah, just because they killed you like 3 or 4 times. And I won't give any specific names, but there was kind of some stuff that happened within the community over the last couple of weeks where they're just really good players, some of them, and I mean, what are your guys' stance on Blizzard releasing this information? I mean, we've played a ton of games. I think between the 3 of us, we probably played somewhere in the neighborhood of like 6,000 games since February, and even before that. Like, I really don't think it's going to be a huge problem. I think Blizzard has a handle on it, but I'd love for you guys to weigh in and see if you kind of agree or disagree, and if you disagree, why that is.
I just thought it was kind of funny, like, without mentioning the specific players and individuals involved. I know in the chat that we all used to get the show ready, we shared that video where people were like, look at this guy, look at this replay, this guy's hacking, and then they brought in that one first-person shooter player who slowed down the video like frame by frame and was like, no, if you look, it's not actually snapping to it, like it's going past, it's not entirely accurate, this guy is just god level at sniping. And just like seeing that video, it was like first thing in the morning when I woke up and I saw it, and it was one of those things where it's like, oh man, I wish he was hacking. That's not okay. Like, that is so disgusting. Like, I can't ever think of a match where, I was ever like, there's no way the person's that good. They're totally, that's all hacks. But just the fact that there are people out there who are good enough that it's like, yeah, dude, report me. Like, it makes me a little nervous for when the game comes back up.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword. There are some players out there who don't even need to be name mentioned, because you probably already know who they are already, that have a skill set that is above and beyond what most of us would even fathom if they could reach that level. But a lot of times these players will get in the zone, and sometimes those miracle moments are those ones you see posted on YouTube that show up on your Facebook. Those animated GIFs come from somewhere. They don't just magically come out of thin air, and these are those epic plays that people talk about. Now, whether or not Blizzard is making the correct stance, I think it's perfectly fine. Like you said, out of a monstrous number of games played, I think I've only run into one occasion when I was like, whoa, that was sketchy. But I honestly overrode it as like, you know what? Everybody here seems pretty legit. When someone's calling out, dude, that guy's got to be hacking, I can't kill him. Like, dude, I'm probably most of his kills or most of his deaths, because I've honestly killed him several times. It's not like he's impossible. And then people are arguing left and right, well, the accusations, this person's aimbotting. And I say, first of all, there's a built-in mechanic for aimbotting. So is he actually aimbotting, or are you, and when I say aimbotting, that's also the walls. And the two pieces I'm talking about is Soldier 76, obviously his ult is straight up aimbot, and Widowmaker has an ultraviolet that allows to see through walls. Typically in most FPSs, people would complain, oh, how did he possibly know I was there? Well, if they have a Widowmaker, the first thing I do is I hit tab. Is there a Widowmaker? Yes, no. Yes, okay. It's probably their ultraviolet up. Not a big deal. Move about your day. So I've not really seen, except for one that I was like, that's pretty damn good if you're not hacking. But out of the other, thousands that I've had, I haven't seen anything that would even come remotely questioning anybody's gameplay.
Yeah. And I mean, there's going to be stuff like this no matter what game you play. If you play, CS:GO, there's aimbotters and hackers, and in Call of Duty, this is the same thing. World of Warcraft, you had your Nihao Chinese gold farmers, and your bots that just would farm 5-man. I mean, you have an online game, you're going to have people that will look to exploit it. It's just inevitable. But Blizzard has always been really good about nailing the people that cheat. Now, that might create a little bit of an issue if, someone is just really good at the game and, they keep getting reported for hacking or aimbotting. Obviously that's going to put a big old spotlight on their account, but Blizzard, they're going to look at it and they're going to go, yeah, this guy's just really good, because they have a way to scan and see, well, is he using, a scripting program? Well, is he using aimbot? Well, is he using third party? I mean, they're on top of it. So the community can just take a step back, breathe a big sigh of relief, because they've got it covered, and I think that's what this post is saying is, guys, we know you love the game, we know you're passionate, we've got you covered. So just sit back, and they did say there's the in-game report feature, and you can also send emails to hacks@blizzard.com if you think somebody is hacking. Now, don't do it right now because there's no game, but just keep that in mind. Keep that, in the back of your bonnet, that they do have avenues that you can go and report that stuff. Now that the serious official blue post is out of the way, there was a new comic that was released. It is the fourth one in the series after McCree, after Reinhardt, after Junkrat, and Roadhog. Now we have Symmetra's comic, which is titled A Better World. And pretty much the comic it opens in Rio de Janeiro with the Vishker Corporation reps, which includes Symmetra, her real name being Satya Vaswani. They're engaged in talks with the mayor's office to improve conditions within the favelas and create a new city center using their hard-like technology. And the mayor instead opts to go with a local slumlord named Mr. Calado, because he has a long history with the city, and the Vishker proposal extends farther into the favelas, meaning the office of the mayor would have to do more to help clean them up to get ready to make this new city center. On her way out of the office, Satya gets swept up in a crowd of protesters, which remind her of the poor conditions she grew up as a child in Hyderabad, which she's Indian, so Hyderabad is a region in India. And as a result, she gets lost. And a young girl spots her and says, hey, I think you're lost, and offers to guide her back through the maze of housing to kind of help her on her way. And then it cuts to a later scene when Satya is in her full Symmetra getup, in her full uniform. And she's about to break into Calado's high-rise office headquarters to dig up dirt on him so that they can use it to kind of overthrow his proposal so they can get the deal. Once inside, she encounters some of Calado's men. She has a no-kill policy, so she says, I'm just going to disable you. You'll wake up, you'll feel sore in the morning, whatever. She flees from the building using a teleporter she set up, but unbeknownst to her, her superiors had set up a bomb inside the building. She turns around surprise! So she turns around just as this large explosion goes off, and her superiors pretty much say, well, Calado won't be standing in the way of the good that Vishkar could do for the city, but she looks on as this fiery wreckage is just falling on the favelas, and trapped inside there are people. And she finds that same young girl that helped guide her through, when she got lost in the rubble unconscious. And so she pulls her to safety, hands her to her mother, and the comic closes with the girl standing in the crowd with now a brand new burn scar on her face, looking very sullen, very angry, as the mayor is announcing that Vishka instead will be awarded the contract to the new city center. Satya, standing next to her boss, is still unsure they did the right thing. He explains to her there's a price in serving the greater good, and although people were injured in the explosion, ultimately their lives are going to turn out better. And so the last panel is Symmetra mentally repeating to herself that Vishka is making the world a better place. You know, they are making the world a better place. And it actually transfers into the game. And my phone is going off. Forgive me for that. But it transfers into the game where that's kind of her attitude in the game. Guys, what are your thoughts on this comic? It wasn't one of my favorites, but you might have a different view on it. Can't you?
If you want to tear it into it, Jeff, I only have like one positive thing to say about it, so I'll knock it out after you rip it apart if you want. You can have that first.
So first dibs on this comic. You know, I can't be an automatic hate machine, right? But the first thing I looked at was like, oh, this is kind of like a different art style. But yeah, I'm willing to appease it. It's not my style of comic. I was really disappointed because I loved all the other artists that did the other ones. I was like, my instant response was, did someone not deliver on their deliverables and they had to throw together some artists to make this? Because this just didn't feel right. But I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this artist is just, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to worry about the story. So I go through this story and I'm like, wow, that was a really lackluster story. So I'm like, out of all these comics, this is send it back. We don't want this comic. Make us a new one. Like, just delete it from the site. Come back, bring us another comic, is what I instantly felt. But then after a day of sitting on it, I was like, you know what? As much as I hate the style, they did celebrate many different comic book artists, and this one artist did have, their own style. And unfortunately, it just is not one that caters to me. It does represent the character, not in the way that I thought that they would. So I was more angry at them because it was like, I really thought of this character as more of a militant civil medic, right? I am here to do this. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to make you feel good. And it kind of portrayed it as a very hollow character that is just out there to do good. And it just really, I didn't fall in love with this story like I did all the other ones. And it was more frustrating than anything else. When I take it away from there.
See, for me, I'm a big Symmetra fan. Like, you can even check on my Twitter. For a long time, I played just tons and tons and tons of Symmetra, just lots of plays of the game. And the things I always liked about her is kind of what you said. She always came off really serious and down to earth. Like, she had a really dry, dark sense of humor. Like, never really just straight jokes, but just really like, no, this is just how it works. You know what I mean? And then when you get to the comic, she was just so two-dimensional. Like, and the comic felt really two-dimensional. It's not that it was poor written to me, and it's not that it was necessarily like a boring story or anything like that, but it didn't feel like Symmetra. Like, I was expecting, like more dimensional creation, like objects and running through walls. Yeah. I wasn't expecting something so bland for her, you know what I mean? Just because playing her, I'd gotten a really good sense for her character, you know what I mean? Like, even now, like, thinking of the character's voices, she's one of the ones who comes to mind because all of her dialogue lines just describe her so well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there. I will admit, though, in the comic's favor, I actually did like the art style. It kind of reminds me of a lot of storyboard art. There's not a lot of black lines, a lot of, like, soft colors, things like that. But the one thing I do really, really like about it is they incorporated blue constantly. And not just, like, blue. Like, it looked like Symmetra's uniform. Like, all the way through the comic, every page, it was all just blue tones, different shades of blue and white. Like, with the exception of, like, one explosion, there was almost no red or any bright colors in it. And so I do like that they did sort of a monochromatic theme with it. I thought that fit it very well. And to reiterate, I don't think it's a bad comic either. It's just it didn't feel like Symmetra, you know what I mean? And, like, this isn't even an insult on, like, Tracer's character or anything like that, but imagine if that was a comic with Tracer in it. It would make more sense for Tracer to be, like, running into the building, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it would feel more in line with their character. It just didn't feel like Symmetra to me. That was my problem with it.
Yeah, I have to definitely agree with it. And I wouldn't say, like I said, after a day, of just letting it sink in. It wasn't necessarily that it was that the people worked on it were just total, horrible people. It just felt like we were built up with such, here's a great cinematic that we just hands down 5-star. Here's another cinematic 5-star. Here's another comic 5-star. Here's another, we just 5-star, 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 and then not a 5-star. It was just like, no, if this would have been pre-production before it went public, I'd have been like, it was done well, but can you do it over? Can you do it better? And here's why. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the one. It's honestly my first experience probably as a new Blizzard person, seeing a sense of disappointment, right? Because I've been led up with so many, nice things and new features and little hidden gems throughout the game, and just these great cinematics that now I'm finally seeing. Oh well, there's room for improvement on this one. So I think we've covered that comment though pretty well.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I mean, don't get us wrong, guys. It's not a bad comic. It just wasn't. It wasn't the best. Like the other three were much better. I will say this though. It put perspective on Symmetra, and I say that because whereas when I played a lot of Symmetra, I played a lot of Lucio. Now the interesting thing to note is Lucio is Brazilian. He grew up in the favelas. His dubstep gun is Vishker technology that he stole to benefit the people. In the game, the interactions between Lucio and Symmetra, they don't like each other. And it kind of, this comic put it more into perspective. Like, well, maybe she's not this goody two-shoes, like super scientist, like, love everybody and everybody's equal, that we might have thought she was. And it kind of explains her attitude and kind of her overall tone in game, and kind of redefines it a little bit, and kind of makes me appreciate the character a little bit more, because I don't like Symmetra. I think she's a really bland, boring character. She doesn't fit my playstyle. I don't like playing her unless I have to. So to see the interactions between Lucio and Symmetra, the Brazilian kid who grew up in the favelas, the Vishker employee, who's like this evil empire, consort essentially. It's like, oh, so that's the one thing I did take away from it, is that although it wasn't the best comic, like when I said, they got the theme right. They got, it was very chromatic, it's very, very interesting. And again, we'll throw that up one more time for you guys, but go check that out if you get a chance. It's comics.overwatch.com, and go check that out. And our camera is malfunctioning. I'm not quite sure why, but
the last thing I want to say on the comic before we move past it, though, is the thing that bummed me out about it, because I honestly don't really feel like it was weak. I just think it was misplaced. Is I don't know if either of you or anybody in chat has read the Valve hardcover comic book that they did. They did this like huge graphic novel with like TF2, Portal, Left 4 Dead, like a bunch of comics like that. And in it, they have a Portal 2 comic about like the Rat Man, who is this guy who's like trapped in the Aperture facility, and like I forget the Portal character's name. It's falling off the top of my head right now, but like she's going through and exploring and finding all these markings and stuff. And I was hoping for a comic like that, like a really what's the word? Like not typical, like lots of weird shapes and like really scratchily drawn. Like I wanted non-traditional, and it just came out so run-of-the-mill, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and there's probably gonna be one comic every week. So we'll look next week. Next week it might be Lucio, since they covered this one. They might roll it in and say, well, now we're gonna do the other side. And if not, hopefully Blizzard's watching. They get an idea. They can commission one of their emergency artists to do it quickly, because it would make a ton of sense. But yeah, so also what was announced, before we get into the community section, there's going to be a new animated short entitled Dragons, and it's going to premiere at 10 a.m. Pacific on May 16th, and it's going to focus around Genji and Hanzo, where you're going to discover the story behind one of Overwatch's biggest rivalries in the third animated short. And it explores the history of conflict between the scions of the Shimada clan, Hanzo and Genji. In the episode, we're going to follow Hanzo as he returns to his siblings' family home in Hanamura, once again to seek redemption, only this time he finds himself confronted by ghosts of the past. So make sure you guys watch that. Recall, the one with Winston and Reaper, was amazing. Alive, the one with Widowmaker and Tracer, sucked because it had Widowmaker. No, I'm kidding. It was amazing as well. Had a lot of emotion to it. A lot of people really just absolutely loved it. So May 16th, 10 a.m. Pacific, playoverwatch.com is where it will premiere. Make sure you guys don't miss it.
Can I say about damn time too? Like, in all seriousness, like the Genji Hanzo relationship has been hyped to death this entire game's development.
Right.
Like, I remember at BlizzCon last year when we were there and they were showing the new Overwatch video and they're like, check out the new maps and check out the new heroes. And then, like, you see Hanzo pull out the sword and we will see, brother. And the whole crowd's just like,
just went nuts. They went crazy.
Lose their shit. Everyone's standing up out of their seats, screaming like children. Like, I mean, it blew me away. Like, since day one, every single person I know who like picks up this game within their first hour plays one of them and is like, oh man, that's cool. What a neat interaction. There's a samurai and a ninja. This is great. So
yeah,
it's about time they got to us, man. Like, they've been pushing this relationship hard enough. I can't wait to see something about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll get a May one.
Maybe. I mean,
May.
and we found out about this because the Coke Esports launch celebration that they're doing across the nation. There's actually one going on in Australia, a couple in Canada as well. In their teaser video, they did a graphic with Hanzo and Genji, and then there is another one that's probably hinting that the next one is going to be Soldier 76 because there was another little snippet and people went, wait, where's that from? Like he hasn't been in one yet. So we're probably going to follow Soldier 76's storyline and the one after Dragons. But make sure you guys go check it out again. 10 a.m. Pacific, 16th of May, playoverwatch.com. It's going to be awesome. Now, let's shift our focus a little bit to the community spotlight. Blizzard does a lot to encourage community growth and development. Being a former event organizer myself, I did a lot in the Heroes of the Storm community, and Blizzard, their biggest stipulation was, you need to let us use your events for our bidding, aka like if we want to have like a Road to BlizzCon like they did last year with Heroes of the Storm, we may tag your event as seeding and points, to assign points value. So just be warned, you might get more coverage. Oh no, horror, right? But Blizzard loves building their communities. And one thing they're doing right now is 21 Days of Overwatch. And it's a DeviantArt community spotlight. And pretty much they feature one character every day leading up to the 22nd of May, which is 2 days before Overwatch launches. And this week they covered Roadhog, Widowmaker, McCree, Tracer, Zenyatta, and Winston. And I'll go ahead and throw that up as we go over that. As you can see here is Tracer and Widowmaker. And then we've got Roadhog and McCree. And then the most recent one, which was shared this morning, very, very early in the morning, is Zenyatta. And so we are up to day 12. Winston was the most current one. Zenyatta is the one they featured. And I mean, it's really cool what Blizzard does for the community. And it's really cool how the community responds to each other within the community. The amount of creativity is just absolutely amazing. I don't know if you guys have checked out any of that artwork, but it's really like top notch. Like these community members are just putting out just content after content, and it's just very, very beautiful.
More Roadhog.
Roadhog.
I think it's funny. That last week when we mentioned like the first couple ones they did, I was like, "People need to be making more Roadhog art, man. I don't know what the deal is." And now this week he got featured. But seriously, more Roadhog fan art, please. Like I'm so into it.
Yeah, Roadhog is awesome.
Give me the hooks. Give me the bacon.
Hooks and bacon. Yeah. And I mean, it's awesome what the community is doing. And there is another thing. If you guys follow me on Twitter, or you follow the Guardians on Twitter, or you happen to be in the Overwatch group on Facebook, I shared a video. It wasn't made this week. It was actually made the 22nd of April, but it didn't pick up traction and start getting a lot of widespread attention until this week, and I am a big League of Legends fan. I follow the LCS, and a couple seasons ago, they had Imagine Dragons do a song for them called Warriors, and they kind of superimposed it over an animated video of a person who's on a team, and they're kind of getting big, and then they go into tournaments, and they compete in and ultimately they win the LCS and they win the cup. Somebody took that song, Warriors by Imagine Dragons, took all of the animated shorts, took all of the cinematics, threw it together, meshed it incredibly well with the lyrics to the song, and just kind of re-envisioned Imagine Dragons Warriors as Overwatch Warriors. And then the end of the video is a whole bunch of the heroic intros, just absolute, like this crescendo building up. I put the link to the video in the description below the video, so click on it after the podcast is over and take a look at it. But I just wanted to bring that to the attention. In this episode, Reed's just going to cover one thing within the community that we saw or noticed this week that was really cool. And so that was mine YouTube video, and it was made by Kanik Kuhn. I'm sure I'm butchering his name, but that's his channel. He had like no subscribers, and he made this amazing video, and I recommend you guys go check it out. And what I know that you said that you saw some content that really kind of struck your fancy. What was that you wanted to cover?
Well, Reddit's been doing a community content highlight on the Overwatch subreddit for a while, and one of the ones that I saw that I've been kind of forwarding around to people because, like I said, a lot of people I know got into the open beta and a lot of people were confused, is this channel called One Amongst Many. And the thing about this channel is it's a really, really good resource on videos for people who are trying to learn Overwatch. Like, they have basic character ability overviews and tips like that, but the main thing is they have, like, game mechanic overviews, map mechanic overviews, things like that. So if you're looking for a resource that's within the community, like for players, by players, then that's the one that really impressed me when I saw it this week. And Jeff's nodding. I have the nagging suspicion his might have been the same thing.
Oh man, the community. I'm all over the internet, and the things that I've seen on the community side, both is impressive, frightening, and hilarious. Kind of like one giant ball of emotions that I've seen. I think there's a couple things I want to highlight. One, first of all, Veritech and we saw Nibs release his Twitch overlay.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool to see community members, not only who are Overwatch streamers, but also taking their artistic talent and giving back and allowing other streamers to benefit from that. And I know a bunch of people grabbed that up. So that was really cool to see Nibs do that for everybody. Additionally, it's just the amount of dank May memes that have been going by my Facebook or being tweeted to me in private or on my messenger. I cannot tell you how many animated GIFs I'm like, how did they do? I don't even care. That's great. That's great. And then there's been some in the other part of the internet, we'll just leave it at that have been like, well, now, that's a thing. Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
So it's been really great to see the cosplayers that have been coming out of the woodwork. A lot of their not only older photo shoots, but newer ones, like total random people just popping up out of nowhere. There's been great art. Like, you cannot type in Overwatch and then just go to images.google.com and not see tons of content. Animated GIFs the same way. I think there's at least in my Facebook Messenger, there's at least 6 memes involving something that I've done in Overwatch that I'm like, I can totally relate to that. Like, I think it was earlier today I sent Veritech one and like, yep, this is definitely Mercy for me. So it's just great to see the community just so involved, so ready to push this game, and everybody is filling up that time by creating more and more content.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like an endless flow, and I'm sure between tonight and episode 15 next Friday, there's going to be even more that we're going to want to touch on, because we don't have Overwatch, so we're really focusing on the community this week and next week, and any news that Blizzard releases as we get closer to the launch of the game. But if you who are watching / listening are a big artist or really creative, and you have a passion for Overwatch much like we do, feel free to share that. Tweet at me, tweet at the Guardians, tweet at Conchu, tweet at One Eye, or Tifa, please, any of us really, and we'll make sure that we go ahead and feature that content in our episodes each week. And one thing to note is we are looking for someone to design an intro video. So if you have any skills with that, that you kind of want your work to be featured as the Guardians grows, by all means, hit me up with a direct message on Twitter, and we'll definitely see if we can't get something worked out for you. Especially because we're going to be live, rubbing elbows with Blizzard personalities and Blizzard, community management team members and employees here in just over 2 weeks. So make sure, if you have a passion, go ahead and get that in. But I think that pretty much wraps everything up for right now. It's not going to be a super long episode, no Overwatch, no game to cover, so we're covering the community. But I mean, it's been fun. It's been a fun week, and it was fun during the open beta. It was fun to play during the closed beta. I really can't wait for launch to happen, so my freaking career profile stops getting wiped, and I can keep my skins.
It feels so weird, man.
Yeah,
it's so weird to just not actually play Overwatch. It's like, what do I do with my free time?
What do I
sleep?
Do? Yeah, especially for us streamers, it's like, what do we stream? I know, like, Conchu was streaming Grand Theft Auto and Rust and DayZ, and I was playing Paladins, and now I'm going to play Battleborn and Dreadnought. The three of us are in the Dreadnought beta, so we're probably going to try that out and stream it, and, it's kind of like, what do we, like, we're scrambling to find things to replace the awesome that is Overwatch, so... it's whatever though. It's part of the game cycle, and there's a ton of hype behind it, and I can't wait for it to be released so everyone can play it again. So
it'll be here soon.
Soon, and not just Blizzard soon, but literal calendar soon. Like
actual date.
Like 11 days soon. 11 days. And Conchu and I, because we're both primarily Overwatch streamers, we got something planned. Extended streams and whatnot for launch. So make sure that as it gets closer,
there's going to be a Maypocalypse.
Amazing.
A Maypocalypse, yeah. But yeah, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But for now, Conchu, man, can anybody? Where can people find you at?
You can always find me on YouTube Gaming. You can just hit up an easy URL, conchu.tv. I made it easy for everybody to find, everybody to share with their friends. If you can't get on YouTube, though, at that very moment, you can always chat me up on Twitter at Conchu. Where can I find you?
As always on Twitter, you can find me over at NA1I. I'm able to be reached there. I'm pretty quick about responses too. If you have any questions about any games, not just Overwatch, I play a lot of them, especially with my experience with multitap. And then speaking of, you can always find me over there every week on the podcast. I wasn't there this week because I gave up to my spot to my main boy, Nico the Wee Guy. But stop on by on Wednesdays and say hi. Love to have you.
Yep, and I've checked out a couple of multitask podcasts and their events they run. They're pretty. They
do get a little spicy. Thinking about it, and I should have mentioned that probably a couple weeks ago. It is not as friendly and lighthearted necessarily as these shows tend to be. So do come in with a little bit of warning. But please stop by. We love having people.
Yeah.
So
check it out. And as for me, Veritech. YouTube and YouTube Gaming. I'm the top result. If you just type Veritech in the search bar, top result. Or you can just go to youtube.com, gaming.youtube.com, either one /VeritechGG. It's the exact same in both places. Twitter at VeritechGG. I have my Twitter linked to everything, so my phone's buzzing, my tablet's buzzing, my computer's dinging whenever I get Twitter notifications, and I'm very quick to respond to them as long as I'm not sleeping. And you can find me there. So for now, that's going to do it for episode 14 of The Guardians. I'm sorry it was a little bit shorter, but we wanted to make sure that that we got that community spotlight out there for you guys to check out. And make sure you tune in Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we are still running our giveaway. Don't forget to enter for that giveaway. We're giving away 8 digital copies for PC of Overwatch. If you haven't done so, it's pinned to my profile on Twitter. It's pinned to the Guardians. I think every host has it pinned to their profile. Go, enter. Really easy. Doesn't cost you anything. And you could win Overwatch for free. So make sure you go check that out. But for now, we will catch you guys on the flip side. We will see you next Friday right here, only on YouTube Gaming. Catch you then.